Hey guys, welcome to the Community Difference Plano special edition here on a fifth Tuesday of the month. We don't get a lot of these every year. Got a great show today, amazing guests. Turns out Plano is a pretty awesome place to live. We're going to talk about why that is. And also, what is it about a thank you? What is it about getting your recognized for what you've done? Just feeling that connectivity that is so powerful in human emotion, human condition. Stick around. We're going to talk about those things next on the Community Difference.
Tune in to watch our communities grow. See how our citizens, local governments, churches, small businesses, schools, and our local sports teams are coming together and partnering to make the difference. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Community Difference, Plano, Texas, with your host, Nathan Smith, and powered by the Difference live stream radio and podcast. So if you love your community and you love supporting the folks and businesses that make your community so special, then we invite you to like, follow, and subscribe to our pages, and then tune into each show to experience the community difference.
Welcome to the Community Difference Plano. It is Tuesday, March 29th, right at 2:01 p.m. We are so glad that you are here. We have a great show for you today, guys. One of the things that as we start getting these Plano shows off the ground, I'm a resident of Plano. I live in Plano. Didn't grow up in Plano, but I guess I got here as soon as I could. I guess that's what you say. But just a phenomenal community. I did some research. I want to share a cool website with you guys. There's a cool website called niche.com, and it's all about places to live. So you put your city in there, and it basically tells you, I guess it's NICHE for people that don't know how to spell niche, which was me until earlier this week. You put your city in there, and it tells you like rankings of your city, like where they're at, right? And so it gives you kind of a general what they call a niche grade, which is cool. So I'm looking at Plano, and I'm like, okay, public schools A+, good for families A+, nightlife A, which is pretty good, diversity A+, housing is good. And then you click a little bit further, and there's all these different rankings, right? So everybody likes to know where they rank, right? So I'm looking at because if you've lived in the North Texas area for any amount of time, right, you understand that everybody and their mom is coming to live here for a lot of reasons, right? And so why is that one? But also, if for your city, why would somebody want to come live in your city? Well, why would somebody want to come live in Plano? Well, there's awesome reasons for that. Just in general, in the North Dallas area is one of the top food places, like for restaurants per capita, but just quality of restaurants in the entire nation. A lot of people don't think about that. Plano specifically, amazing restaurants, right? We are our networking groups that one of my guests, Bob Wilcox, is a part of, and myself just meets at a place in Plano area, and we're just amazed at. I don't care what kind of food you like. There's something here for you, right? So it's amazing. Plano, number 9, best places to live in America. Number 9. Now, I don't know how many cities there are, but there's a lot of them. And to be number 9 is pretty impressive, right? Best places to buy a house. So you notice why so many people are coming here. And so, man, it's a great time to be moving to Plano, great time to be living in Plano, from the tollway area, up at Legacy West, Legacy Central, all the way to the east side, surrounded by other communities too. Allen, Frisco, McKinney, all kind of have that same attractiveness to them. People are coming there, all kinds of things to do, and so it's just a really good time to be living here. And man, we just couldn't be more excited to take this show. And really bring not only the businesses together, but we're going to hear from Angela Powell today in just a moment, one of the board of trustees from the Plano ISD board of trustees, and just get an idea of what's going on in the school system, right? When we talk about, the school system ranking is A+ in the nation, which is really good, right? Obviously, you as a father, and as if you have kids, you want to, especially in this day and age, you hear about so many bad school districts, right? You want to find a place, and that's something so important to parents is, okay, well, what are the schools like? That's a big reason while people move to a community, right? Well, what is there to do? Is it clean? I mean, do they take care of their city well? What is there to do from a nightlife standpoint? Places to eat, parks, recreation, all those things are very important. So we're going to get to hear from a couple of business owners. Angela Powell mentioned from the Plano ISD Board of Trustees in just a moment. But guys, we're so excited to be, I guess this is our third Plano specific show. And just to be able to give back to the community, to be able to talk with people all across the board. And I want to recap our vision, which is to really bring a synergy between not only local businesses, but again, school boards, athletic departments, local sports teams, churches, nonprofits, first responders, veteran groups, etc., and highlight, not just what do they do, what's going on, but the impact that all those groups are making to the community, right? The community wants to know, okay, well, what are the good things? What are the stories? What are the heartwarming things that are happening in my community? And so, I always tell people, and I met a guy this morning that runs not only the Plano newspaper, but Allen, McKinney, a bunch of other cities around the area. And it's so interesting and impactful, really, to look more at your local news. And I don't mean local news like what you see on NBC5. That's like all of Texas local, but your specific city. Because if you've got a city magazine or obviously the city website, if you subscribe to the city newspaper, some people still read the newspaper, which I think is awesome because I love the physical. I like to hold it in my hand, right? You're going to find the really interesting stories, that similar type of things that we want to bring to you here. So, if you have a story like that, if you want to highlight something that's happening, that your business, your kid, your sports organization, anything that in the Plano community that is worth like honoring and sharing to the masses, man, we certainly want to do that because that's ultimately our goal. And so we've got an exciting show for you today. Here we're gonna just as a reminder, we'll take commercial breaks. We want to honor our great sponsors that we have on The Difference here at every 15 minutes, 15, 30, and 45, and we'll be out of here in an hour. But great show for you guys today. I want to go take a moment this weekend, right? If you did not know about it, Plano, we had Shelby Williams, one of the Plano City Council members, on 2 weeks ago, and he shared with us about the first annual Plano or Texas Forever Fest. And Lennon, if you'll throw up that video, went out there with the family. This is in downtown Plano, and I tell you what, this was a fantastic time, right? It looks like it's loading a little slow for some reason or other, but man, the entire downtown area, Plano, right by the DART station, this beautiful park right across from the police station, courthouse, man, all kinds of different activities for kids, booths. They had live music out there, wonderful food, celebrating Texas independence. Although Shelby laughed because it's a little bit late. I think it's March 2nd. They're going to try to have it closer to the actual date next year. But I tell you what, here's what's crazy about this. The idea for this festival was started by a Plano citizen. He came to city council member and said, hey, I think this will be something that would bring us together. It would be a lot of fun. There's a kid, future cowboy right there. I thought this was pretty cool. It was a yarn exercise. Maybe you guys did this like in youth group growing up, but you would go, each one of these poles had something like, I use the word y'all a lot, right? Okay, well, if that's you, then you take this yarn across and you tie it to either side. So all these different things that people do that they could say yes to, and they created this really interweaving yarn thing. Well, what it means, a lot of Texans there was pretty cool, but even ones that are coming from elsewhere, they're certainly welcome too. Great live music. I mean, George Dunham of 13th and the Ticket was out there with his band. Just a great time there he is right there, for a family. And so this is the kind of stuff that if you don't keep tabs on what's going on in your community, especially in the city of Plano, you're going to miss these type of events. And these are huge for bringing people together. I happened to meet an author who writes historical fiction, whose book is being turned into a screenplay. I'd actually going to try to work to have him on the show here in a month or two, but just a fantastically fun time. So wanted to highlight that, wanted to thank, there we are there's my family with Shelby and his family. And so, man, we had a great time. So thank you for him for bringing that to our attention. But just, man, we want to highlight these kind of things are happening all the time in the city of Plano. So just a lot to talk about. So we got a lot to cover today. Some amazing guests, want to give them their time. So I would like to bring on, if we can, Miss Angela Powell. She is the Plano ISD Board of Trustees, place 2. How many places are there?
There are 7 places.
7 places. Okay, so place 2. I don't think that's an order of importance. Maybe it is. I don't know. Before we talk to you about Plano and what's going on in the school district, man, just talk to us about, first of all, how long have you lived in Plano? And then what is your favorite thing about the city? What do you love about Plano?
Okay, well, I moved here in 2005 in Plano.
Okay.
So I've been in the same house for about over 15 years.
Nice.
So I've been involved in our school district since I've been here. My son went to the early childhood school. It was Barron Early Childhood School, and now it's called Isaac's Early Childhood School. And then I've been a volunteer since then.
Okay, very cool. So so let's say we're going to eat, we're going to meet for coffee, we're going to talk about whatever. Where are we going? Where's the first place we're going to go? Your favorite place?
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Probably my favorite place, it's kind of interesting, but Ranch 99 is a Chinese grocery store. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I feel like where is it? The name sounds very familiar.
It's on Spring Creek.
Okay.
And 75.
Oh, I passed it today. Yes, I know right where that is. I passed it today. Okay.
Well, Ranch 99 is a grocery store, but inside the grocery store, they also have a restaurant. They have a restaurant there, an Asian restaurant inside, and they also have a buffet center.
Really? Okay.
They have a buffet, Chinese buffet inside, and then they also have a counter to make your drinks.
That's fascinating. I'll have to check that out. I had no idea that was in there. Yeah, I know right where that is. So what's your go-to when you go there for the buffet?
My goodness, they have shrimp. I mean, you can choose either noodles or shrimp. And it's just like a regular Chinese buffet line. They have one side is rice as dishes, and the other side of buffet line are the noodle dishes.
Okay, man, Chinese is. I haven't found. Well, I mean, there's a lot. I haven't really looked that hard, but before I moved to Plano about 4 years ago, I had a Chinese place that I liked in another city. So I haven't really found my go-to. So now I will check that out because I'm always looking for good Chinese food for sure. So and tell me, Ranch 99?
Ranch 99 is the name of the grocery store.
What's the name of the restaurant?
Inside the restaurant? Well, actually, it belongs to the grocery store, the buffet section.
Oh, it's all the same. Okay, awesome. Well, that's cool because that's the kind of stuff. I like places that people, there's obviously the chain restaurants that everybody's heard of, and even more larger establishments within the city that everybody kind of knows. But I love the hole in the wall places, or the places that you don't know about, or the ones that are inside a grocery store that you had no idea were there. Those are the cool places to highlight because you're like, that's where you find the really good stuff. So, well, Miss Angela, I want to ask. So you've been Plano here since 2005, and you're on the school board, the board of trustees. What is it about Plano that you felt like you wanted to give back, you wanted to get involved? Why did you end up where you're at, and kind of walk us through that process?
Okay, because I'm happy to answer that question because I have been a PTA mom since my kids started school in Plano ISD.
Awesome.
And so I have volunteered at Isaac Early Childhood School, and then I volunteered at Hickey Elementary School, and then as a PTA mom. So, I quickly got involved in my children's classrooms in their schools. And by the way, across the district, for PTA, we have nearly 20,000 members within our school district.
That seems really high. Like that seems very, very, a lot of involvement that you might not get in another district.
Yeah, so we do have about 20,000 members, wow. PTA members in our Plano ISD school district. And many of our PTAs within our district have been recognized as national PTA schools of excellence.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And then our Head Start program, our PTA Head Start program is bilingual. So first they go into the meeting and they speak we have the English introduction, and then everything gets translated into Spanish. Okay.
So you get a little of both there. That's awesome. So you kind of named a few things that I think sets Plano apart. But talk a little bit more. What is it about the district, how it's ran, how it operates, that makes a greater impact on the community, specifically the kids, but maybe even the parents, that you may not have seen, in another school district in another city? What is it that's really special about that community relationship between the Board of Trustees and the citizens of Plano?
Okay. I believe that the board of trustees, like, we always put our students at the heart of our decisions, and so as a board trustee, I think that's what our board members do. And
go ahead.
And then our main strength, I think, for Plano ISD is people, starting with our teachers.
Yeah. Well, so I'm glad you mentioned people, because when we come back from break, I want to share a story with me, like obviously you don't have to share names, but just something that has really impacted an individual. Maybe they've come from Plano ISD, they've gone on to do something really special, or just those stories that actually, bring into the depths, into light, what the impact is that you guys are doing in the school district. So we're going to go to break, guys. We'll come right back on the Community Difference.
Today's show is made possible by the following small business partner: Home Title Lock, home title protection with up to $1 million guarantee in case of fraud. Ace of Bull Online Texas, real estate school and courses, offering Trek-approved free licensing, CE, SAE, and broker licensing courses. Smart Credit Monitoring helps you control your credit score, money, and identity, all in one place. Phone.com. Phone.com is the modern, work from anywhere solution for today's agile, mobile, and always on entrepreneurs and growing businesses. CoreNet, business asset and liability protections. Our business filing experts will help you get your business moving. Start a business, incorporate or form an LLC today with CoreNet. For more info about our sponsors and their services, or if you'd like info on how you and your business can sponsor this show or others like it, just check the show description or in the comments for the relevant links. And now back to the show.
Guys, welcome back to the Community Difference. I'm your host, Nathan Smith. We are focused specifically on the great city of Plano, Texas, my home. We're speaking with Angela Powell, Board of Trustees for the Plano ISD Place 2. And before the break, we were talking about just a little bit about the involvement of the Board of Trustees, the impact that it made. But I asked Angela, give me a story, one of those, the one that tugs on the heartstrings of the inspiration that you get from, the impact that you guys have made. So take a moment and share a couple of those with me, if you don't mind.
Well, we do have a lot of stories, but our Plano ISD, the strength of the Plano ISD is definitely our people power. Mm-hmm. That's why I keep on saying, Plano ISD is people. Starting with our teachers. They are not only the most caring people you ever meet, but they are also talented and experienced in Plano ISD. We have about 36.7% of our teachers hold master's degrees, and they have been in the profession 11 plus years or so for our district. And when I say people power, I mean, when you ask me, tell us a story, but the thing is that we went through a pandemic, And let me tell you the general story of the whole community. So I'm gonna generalize into say the whole community. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
So I think the people power includes the community, which we especially saw during the pandemic, and what we saw is our partners like food banks and organizations and businesses that reach out to us and ask us, what can we do to help the schools? And so this resulted in families receiving much needed food during the pandemic, school supplies, the backpacks, even Wi-Fi hotspots. So all our students could stay connected to instruction from home as needed during the pandemic. And during that, we had a lot of volunteers, in the community who there was an organization that donated masks during that time, to our schools. And so there are a lot of stories during that time when there was the need for help, individual families, individual needs. And I would say that during that time, we had a lot of our community partners, businesses, Capital One, Children's Hospital, Children's Health, Texas Health Resources. We had a lot of organizations that came in and helped our district during a time of need, and parents.
Well, with a parent involvement as much as you guys seem to have, that's certainly a good thing. So, and I didn't ask you this in advance, so if you don't know the specifics, don't worry about it. But do you know, like, so people that graduate from Plano high schools, they go on, is there a percentage that go on to college, the success rate that they have there, or just or that stay in Plano, like they end up raising a family here, or they tend to stay in the area? Do you have any type of statistics on that regard? Like, you get so many people in small towns, they kind of stay there forever, but in Plano's a growing city, it's getting bigger, but there's a lot of reasons to stay in Plano after you graduate high school. It's a great place to raise a family, as I just talked about. So do you see that happening a lot, where people are sticking around? They graduate, maybe they go to school somewhere, but they come back just because of the roots that they have here?
Well, actually, I want to say the story of a family who are actually, the parents were teachers here, and and then their children grew up and went through Plano ISD schools.
Okay.
And then their adult children are now teaching within our district. So, I mean, to me, that is a positive. That is something I say is a winning positive characteristic of a Plano ISD, is that even our teachers' children are becoming teachers in our district. And that's a good story.
Yeah, it's a culture of teaching, a culture of education, I guess. So how do you feel like? So obviously, you guys want to impact the students. It looks like you're doing a really good job there. Looking at national rankings and some of the things that you shared, but when it comes to, it looked like the community really stepped up for you guys. What do you guys do for the community at large? Not just the students, obviously that's your primary target, but like as giving back to Plano as a whole, what is y'all's kind of involvement in that context, in that arena?
Well, I think when the community and the school district share together, it's mostly involves schools, right?
Right.
So, I mean, because
which makes sense. Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah. And so, how do we give back, and how do we partner with our parents and community members? Is the support of our schools. Mm-hmm. So the district support our schools, and our community support our schools, and I think that is the answer of how we work together. Right.
Yeah, and that's awesome, because that's really the vision I talked about earlier of the community different shows. Is the difference radio live stream podcast started with an idea of bringing awareness to local businesses, right? Why does some succeed? Why does some fail? And the idea of the community difference is taking that beyond just local businesses to all aspects of community life. That's why I'm so excited to have you on today, because the school district is so important, right? I mean, when you see a city that's failing, you usually see a failing school district. It starts there. And so, knowing that the Plano ISD is really in good hands as we continue to navigate, and it looks like we're finally through COVID. Praise the Lord. Yeah, that was a tough time for sure. But I know it's encouraging to the citizens of Plano, but also to parents that are moving here. So speaking of, you guys have a lot of involvement from parents. If someone is not involved yet, and they want to get involved, whether a parent of a child, or just somebody that lives here that doesn't have kids but that cares about the direction, or maybe wants to have kids at some point, wants to make sure the school district's in good shape by the time their kids get there, what are some ways to get involved? Obviously, you have PTA. That's kind of an obvious one across the country, but what are some other ways to get involved with what you guys are doing, the direction you're going?
Right. Whether it's volunteering, donating to our school fundraiser, or supporting the Plano ISD Education Foundation, there are ways to actually get involved very easily. I mean, of course, number one for parents is definitely the PTA, because anyone can volunteer in the PTA. Right. Obviously, you just fill out the Wylie, Wylie online volunteer form, and then you can apply to volunteer at your current children's school PTA, and you don't have to have experience because the PTA will teach you what to do. They'll train you how to be a good volunteer. And
where can somebody access that form? Is it just
online?
Plano ISD?
Yes, Plano ISD online, and then just type into Google to search volunteer, and Wylie will show up. And volunteering or donating to the Plano ISD Education Foundation is a quick and easy way because the Education Foundation actually supports our schools' needs.
I was just going to say that's really cool because it sounds like, one of the things that I want to encourage school districts to do, and it sounds like you have done this in one capacity or another, is, utilize the businesses in your community. Now, not just for donation standpoint, but like there's many businesses in your community that provide services that that schools use, that businesses in general use. And so I'm sure you guys have built relationships with those type of businesses, but that's just my encouragement for any school district, anybody listening from any city, because that's where you keep the dollars, first of all, in your city, but you also build those relationships with people like and trust. And that's where you can make a big city feel a little bit smaller, which is good, right? You start building those relationships. So stick around, if you will, Angela. I want to bring you back in at the end of the show, but thank you so much for jumping on it. I can feel confident that by the time my son's 2, so when he's about 5 or 5.5, whenever you go to kindergarten, that he'll be in good hands. And so we appreciate you jumping on. So stick on, if you will, and then we'll bring you back in at the end. But next, and I'm only giving about 4 minutes till we get to the commercial, but we'll kick on the back side of that. I want to bring on a good friend, Bob Wilcox with Mailbox Power. Bob and I met in a Master Networks group. He's part of like 14 Master Networks chapters. We met at the West Plano chapter that meets at 11 o'clock at Kelly's Tavern technically in Frisco, but it's just on the border there. And so I got to talk to Bob. Bob is a guy that's just got a big heart. He wants to make people feel special. In fact, this Master Networks mug I'm drinking out of is not just because I love Master Networks, because I do, but he sent this to me just for having a meeting with him. And that's the kind of impact he made. So I want to talk about that impact, Bob, but first I'm not going to let you off the hook without talking about Plano. How long have you lived in the community? What do you love about Plano? And then if you had to go somewhere, if it was your last meal, where are you going for dinner?
Okay. Well, lots of options. Thank you, Nathan, for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's
My pleasure.
To be a part of this program. I actually moved to Plano in 1996. And that was simply a very practical reason, because it was halfway between where I worked and where my partner worked. And it was easy to get to where we worked. Of course, we don't work there anymore, so that's a moot point. But we're pretty much established here. We've been in the same house ever since, and we'll probably be here for the duration. We like our home. We like our neighborhood. We're right off of Clearview Park, which is a wonderful little community park. And we have some of the finest neighbors in the world, to the point that we even share a patio we built between our two houses.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, there's no reason to move anywhere. We really love it here.
Where, what part of the city is that in? What, like east, west?
We're just west of 75 Central, south of Spring Creek, north of Parker.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're not far from we talked about this, from where the Samsung campus is, right there off of Chase Oaks.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah, it's a little bit north of Spring Creek, and we're a little bit south.
That's the first place I discovered Dunn Brothers coffee, right over there. It's like infinitely better than Starbucks. Sorry if you work at Starbucks.
Yeah.
So where are we going to eat, Bob? Where's the place that you?
Well, there are two places that we dearly love. Our favorite place, believe it or not, is also Chinese, but it's a little place called Little Hunan, and it's at the corner of Spring Creek and Alma. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the best Chinese I've ever tasted. I love it. For takeaway, we take away from there at least once a week. It's so good.
Do they deliver? That's my question.
That I don't know.
Okay.
To be honest with you, we just dash over there and grab the bag and leave as fast as we can.
What's the other place?
The other place is downtown Plano. It's the Lockhart's Barbecue.
Oh yeah.
That's a good spot.
There's a lot of good places in downtown Plano by the dart rail, which is where the Texas Forever Fest was this week. So, well, Bob, we're gonna just wanted to give you a quick intro. We're gonna go to break. When we come back, we'll dive into our topic today and get to know you a little bit more. So let's go to break and we'll be right back.
Great.
The Difference Radio, live stream and podcast, the voice of small businesses and the communities they serve. Over the last 24 months, The Difference has evolved into a powerful internet media company that helps small businesses and local communities and nonprofit organizations create, produce, broadcast, and distribute a variety of shows, all designed to empower our communities, the businesses, the people, the places, and the events that make our cities, communities, and the folks that live there so very special.
With almost 1.5 million viewers and listeners in the last 2 years, The Difference and its unique strategy of positive impact branding has helped communities and small businesses be seen, be heard, and be remembered.
In a world that is consumed with negative press, media manipulation, and propaganda, The Difference, along with many others who believe in and support The Difference, understand that there is no better way to make the difference in our communities than to highlight the unsung heroes and high achievers that call our towns and communities home. And we wanted to create a platform that does just that, one that brings awareness to and reminds folks of the goodness that lives within so many of us and our neighbors.
And don't forget to hit that like, follow, and subscribe button, and tune in each week so you can experience the difference.
Well, welcome back to the Community Difference. I am your host, Nathan Smith. I am here alongside Bob Wilcox of Mailbox Power. And Bob, before we really dive into Mailbox Power, you have a unique business in the sense that you kind of make people feel good for a living. You make people feel special, make people feel seen. We talked about this a little off air before, but there's something simple and yet very powerful to a thank you.
Absolutely.
And you've really honed in on what that is. But why is that such a big deal?
It's such a big deal because it's done so seldom. That's why it's a big deal. A few years ago, I realized I have people that come to service my home. I have the lawnmower people. I have at that time I had maids that came in once a week to clean up after me. I had the pool people, the furnace people, the HVAC people, and so on. All these people come in to service my home, and I realized that of all those people, not one of them ever said thank you. And that just sort of stunned me. Why am I giving my money to people who don't say thank you? Mm. And that sort of woke me up. And the other thing was that, the need to express appreciation of people is such a human need. And we get so busy, we don't do it. And I had a personal incident that sort of jolted me awake on this. I knew I wanted to send a card to a fellow who was my high school music teacher. And I'm old. He's really old, right? And I kept putting it off. The universe kept prompting me to do this. And I kept putting it off. Finally said, okay, I'll fix the card. I'll get it ready to go. I went out to the internet, make sure I had his right address. Couldn't find his address. What I found was his obituary.
Oh.
And that jolted me awake to the fact that there are so many people in our lives who have touched us, helped us, nurtured us, mentored us, all the rest of it. And the chance to say thank you, express appreciation to these people, slips away day by day. And if we don't say it now, it may never get said. And that's a very prompting thing. And then to tie that into business, then more and more business people are discovering that it's really important to not only just say thank you for the transaction, but to say thank you as a way of beginning to build a continuing relationship with clients over a period of time. That ongoing relationship is worth a lot of money if business people will pay attention to it. It's not enough just to get one sale and be done. Think that people are going to be your customer for life, because they're not going to be. There are 1,000 other vendors out there just like you, just like me, who are trying to get their business. So if they have a choice, who are they going to pay attention to? Your customers are going to pay attention to the people who pay attention to them. Very simple.
And that makes
so
ahead, sorry.
It's just a very fundamental thing. Saying thank you is essential.
And so, when you and I when we met at, where did we meet? Panera Bread? Yeah, we met at Panera
Yeah.
Bread, which is delicious. We
They
talked
look
about
good.
how, that's right. We talked about how it's not just small businesses or local businesses, but that so many other institutions in our communities are missing out on opportunities here.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Just talk about that for a minute, and where you see some areas of opportunity just for, we talked about churches, school. I mean, just that people may be missing a valuable relationship builder in that regard.
Any organization, school, church, what have you, has volunteers, need to be regularly and meaningful, in a meaningful way, saying thank you to those volunteers. It's not enough just to shake their hand and say thanks. On an ongoing basis, to recognize the people that are giving of themselves to you. Churches especially, they've got this large array of people who volunteer. You've got in churches, you got the ushers, you've got the choir people, you've got the Sunday school teachers, you got all these folks who give of their time, most of them unpaid, and very seldom do people say thanks. And that's because I had a spouse at one point in time who was a church organist, and nobody ever said thank you for being a church organist. Of the hours spent practicing and rehearsing and getting ready and organizing the whole thing, and by the time that person was done playing, everybody else had left. So they never heard thank you.
It's always the pastor. It's always the minister that gets all the thanks.
Yeah.
The organ's only the coolest instrument in the choir. I mean, it's only the loudest, most powerful instrument. I don't know.
But the point of it is, the schools need to do the same thing because they have cadres of volunteers who serve in so many ways, fundraising and all the rest of it. Parents, the proudest thing you can do for a kid is to praise the kid to their parents. And if a teacher would send a card to the parents, say, I think Johnny is the most fantastic kid in my class, that means a lot. And that builds that relationship over time, and the parents are going to say, oh, the teacher's not an adversary. The teacher is a partner with me, with helping with my kid. Any kind of volunteer organization, the food banks and the service organizations, everybody needs to have a regular program. Now, the trick is to automate that in a way that it doesn't consume a horrendous amount of your time.
Yeah.
Handwritten cards are wonderful, but man, they take a long time to write.
Especially if you have terrible handwriting like me.
Yeah, you can't write like that.
Yeah.
So if we can automate that away and still personalize it, see, that's the thing. To put their name on the front of it, to put the name, well, you've got your name on your mug, don't you? Didn't I put your name on your mug?
You sure did. I didn't even notice that till now.
Okay.
That's
All
awesome.
Right.
Well, now I feel even more special.
Yeah, but that's the point. Personalization, customization that permits you to do onesies, twosies, to say thank you to people. You put their name on the card, you put their name on the envelope, you put their name on the product, or if you send them a product, makes a big impact on people. And they remember you. That's one of the things. What we teach people to do is that anytime you can capture somebody's picture and put it on a card or a mug or whatever, and send it back to them, people will never throw away something with their picture on it. They just don't do that.
It feels wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah. And so I haunt Facebook, and when somebody publishes a picture of their cat, their kid, their dogs, or whatever, I'll grab the picture, put it on a card, and send it back to them. Say, hey, that was fantastic, congratulations, or whatever the case might be. But people hang on to those cards. Now, you put your branding on the back page, so they know who you are. They'll remember you. And that, any business person being remembered is a big deal.
Yeah, and that's one of the things when we started the difference. Well, I didn't start the difference. Lyndon started the difference. I can't say we, but it wasn't because of people's lack of talent or ability or product. It was that people didn't know who they were. Mm-hmm. And as we expand that beyond businesses with a community difference, it's still the same thing. Like, mm-hmm. I mean, we should have relationships with our first responders, with our veterans. But those groups should be, they operate off of a volunteer army, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the reasons I love what you do, and we're talking about that in just a moment, specifically with Mailbox Power. But I love your approach, Bob, of realizing that, relationships, first of all, they don't just happen overnight. You've got to cultivate them.
Yes.
We learn that in master networks. We learn that by experience. We learn what happens when we don't do that well, right? And that's a big part of what we're doing here at The Difference. But I just think that is such a powerful way of showing. I mean, it's a way of showing love, right? It's not like romantic or deep seated love, but it's a surface level, at least, appreciation that you matter and this person matters. And so that type of awareness of the types of interactions that you have in the community, right? You have, like you said, the how many times do you think the mail person that brings you mail gets a thank you? Never, maybe. I don't know.
Very seldom.
They're not getting it from the U.S. Postal Service. I can assure you of that. And so just little things like that. I mean, you kind of got the creative juices flowing there. So I want to, before you talk specifically about Mailbox Power, you shared the story of what happened because you didn't have that information, and unfortunately you caught your music teacher a little bit too late, sadly.
Yep.
Share a different story, the other side, where you or one of your customers, somebody made a huge impact in the community of Plano, and just why that made such a big difference.
Sure. Well, I've got a lot of stories. I'm not sure which one you want to hear.
Any of them. They're all, I've heard a lot of them. They're all good. So
let me tell you a story about Rusty Hamrick.
Okay.
Rusty is a client. He during the early days of the pandemic, when we were all locked down and nobody was going anywhere, Rusty's a realtor, and he was concerned that people would forget him. Nobody was doing business. So he got together and he created a little gift box. He called it the Social Isolation Survival Kit. And it was a nice little gift box. And in it, he had a couple of brownies that were private labeled for him. He had a card in say, hey, I'm thinking of you. I'm still here. I'm still doing business. Can let me know your real estate needs. And he selected 20 of his top clients and sent out those gift boxes. I think the whole project to those 20 clients cost him around $300, something like that. Out of just doing that and explaining to people that he was still selling houses, he was still doing real estate, he managed to garner $1.8 million in real estate sales.
Jeez. Just
by reaching out to the clients he already had and reminding them that he's still there and still serving them. That's just one example. Bill Kiefer is another one that comes to mind. Bill is in wine sales, and he goes around, sells wine to restaurants and this kind of thing. And he called a new restaurant, and he came away with an order for about $800. Pretty normal in the wine business for that. So when he got back, he prepared a card. Thank you for the business. I'm looking forward to doing more business with you. Let me know how I can help you out. Just a nice card. It never hurts to stick in a couple of brownies to go with it.
Amen.
Sweetens the deal. But about a week and a half later, the restaurateur called him and placed an order for $10,000 in wine.
Man.
Now, it doesn't happen automatically every time. I'm not saying that.
Sure.
But just by reaching out and being that extra step friend who recognizes the relationship and appreciates the relationship and what have you, what you do is you open the doors to people. And people will come back and they appreciate that. And people, we often say in networking that people do business with people they know, like, and trust, which is true if they can remember you. Well, it's not their job to remember you. It's your job to be memorable. And that's what we do. We give you the tool by which you can be memorable to the clients you want to keep.
And I love that, because if you think about all the organizations and businesses and obviously schools that exist in our communities, and we can, Lenny, you can pop Angela back in here if you want to. So many of them are volunteer driven. Like, it's really kind of the catalyst for what makes our organizations kind of synergize and work together. Mm-hmm. And it's often the volunteers that get the burnout, that feel underappreciated, the people that are low on the totem pole. I mean, even though teachers are obviously paid and on salary for what they do, the career field they've chosen, it's been a tough time being a teacher the past two years, right? Some of them have gone on to do some other things. I've talked to a lot of them, that I work with in different capacities, and they're just burnt out. They're just frustrated. And I know that little bit of, hey, we see you. And it really, the thank you is, I see you, is what that is. And right.
Yeah.
Everybody, in our business, we have a saying that asks, hey, there you go. Perfect. It's a flashing sign that says, I want to matter, or I want to be somebody. I want to know that I'm here for a reason. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's often, just overlooked, like you said, a lot of times with good intentions. And so, want to brainstorm with the two of y'all, just how you guys, Bob, how you see some opportunities in the school district, and just some opportunities of kind of crossover, cross promotion there. We're going to go to a quick break, and again, thank you guys so much. We'll wrap up here on the other side. We'll be right back.
Today's show is made possible by the following small business partner: Home Title Lock, home title protection with up to $1 million guarantee in case of fraud. Ace of Gold Online Texas, real estate school and courses, offering Trek-approved free licensing, CE, SAE, and broker licensing courses. Smart Credit monitoring helps you control your credit score, money, and identity, all in one place. Phone.com. Phone.com is the modern, work from anywhere solution for today's agile, mobile, and always on entrepreneurs and growing businesses. Cornet, business asset and liability protections. Our business filing experts will help you get your business moving. Start a business, incorporate or form an LLC today with Cornet. For more info about our sponsors and their services, or if you'd like info on how you and your business can sponsor this show or others like it, just check the show description or in the comments for the relevant links. And now back to the show.
Well, guys, welcome back to the Community Difference, Plano, Texas. We're about to wrap up here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Great guest today, Bob Wilcox of Mailbox Power, Angela Powell, Plano ISD Board of Trustees. Bob, I do want to give you a minute and a half or so. Just talk specifically. Obviously, your contact information has been flowing across the bottom there, but somebody wants to get involved. What does that look like with Mailbox Power, even on like just kind of a basic monthly level?
We actually have 3 different subscription levels. The cheapest one, or the least expensive one, to put it that way, is $9.95 a month. That gives you access to the system, and you can send cards and gifts and what have you. Most people opt for the pro level, which is $50 a month. But with that, you get 50 free greeting cards every month to send out. Now that's a $100 value right there, and an unlimited number of 4x6 postcards. So if a business is using postcards as a way of reaching out in the community, direct mail postcards, they can send all their postcards for free. They just pay the postage, which is a really great deal. So those are the 2 most popular programs we have. And in the cards, there's a design store with all kinds of cards already designed. You don't even have to do anything. You just pick a card and send it. And also we have a wide variety of gifts. Some of them are nice gifts, expensive gifts. For example, what to do with it? I had it right here in front of me. There. I just ordered one of these for myself. This is a cell phone charger. And I happen to put my business card on the front of it. But that makes a really nice gift for somebody. And it's not terribly expensive, and it's impressive. So you can customize this to say anything you want. So there are lots of different kinds of gifts to send out.
I like that. That's awesome. And Bob, you've done it. I mean, Bob really, obviously it's his business. It's what he does for a living, but he lives that culture that he creates, because I the first time I met Bob at the West Plano Master Networks, he got my my business card and he got my address, and he goes, "I want to send you something," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I mean, I didn't know what it was, and here's this nice card and 2 brownies, which I promptly ate because they were delicious. And then we had a meeting, and I get this lovely personalized mug, and again, I have 1,000 coffee mugs, but this has this different meaning because, one, I love Master Networks, but it's the thought behind it, and so it's such a unique aspect. If you're in a local business in Plano, if you're a restaurant, if you're part of a volunteer army, if you're leading a volunteer army, if you're part of the school district like Angela, man, looking for these ways to make impact. I mean, even if even if your budget is not such where you can partner with Bob, take the time to say thank you. Take the time to make that difference. It goes such a long way in making people feel like the effort that they've put in matters, right? And a lot of times people refuse. They don't want to put money into their business if they don't see the immediate returns. Well, you're asking yourself to be in a lot of trouble if that's the way you operate, right? Because we say this in our business. I hear it in Master Networks: give to give, right? You give to give, not give to receive. That sounds okay, but if you give to give, and you do it enough, well, then all of a sudden, you will end up reaping something from that one way or the other. It might be a referral, it might be a transaction, it might be something. It might just be a good relationship that who knows the fruits of that down the road. And so those are the types of things that I like to highlight in our community, because it's the stories that really matter, right? When everything is kind of pointless without relationship, right? You are human beings, designed, created, whatever to interact with each other, right? And so our communities are a larger example of that interaction. And so if you're somebody that easily can feel like you're just trying to get by, right? Your life is just difficult, which obviously life can be very difficult, but when you stop to, even in your small circles, even within your family, stop to realize where are your blessings, who's making an impact for you, who's doing that thing that nobody's recognizing, and giving them opportunity to recognize that, man, that's a huge deal. So Angela, we got a couple minutes to wrap up. First of all, like, what are you guys doing? I know Bob talked about that he, sometimes I don't know what his awareness is with Plano ISD, but that a lot of times, school boards or school districts in general, or schools just individually, may even be missing out on some opportunities to say that extra thank you, to go that extra mile. What are you guys doing in that regard? And do you think, hey, maybe something jogged or triggered your mind that Bob said, like, hey, this is an opportunity that we can actually get better at in this regard?
Well, I think that we did a big thank you to our district with our teachers and staff in January when we approved a bonus to our a little stipend to our staff. So we did that this year, definitely.
Money does say thank you quite well. That's awesome.
And the thing is that we have two programs that I like to mention before I get off. Is that we have a new program this year, and it's for our community members and for any.
We lost Angela. Angela's been having some issues with her internet, which happens, unfortunately. So I'll hopefully we got a couple minutes. We might be able to bring her back in here. So Bob, if we don't get Angela back, last word to you. Maybe the last word, may not be the last word, depending on if we get Angela back. If you could speak to the community on the whole, let's say we were able to get everybody in Plano and they're listening to Bob, from a relationship standpoint, like, what is something you would want people to know about community life, the importance of relationships, et cetera, and generating that appreciation for the interactions that they have?
Everybody that comes into your sphere of influence is a relationship. And the value of that relationship is beyond measure, because everybody has an impact on you one way or the other, and you have an impact on them. So anything you can do to build that relationship is going to go towards building the community as a whole. And that's the way it is. Angela's back. I defer to her because I want her to have the last word.
Thank you. That's okay.
I'm going to quickly talk before my computer drops me.
Okay.
So I was talking about the Leadership Ambassador Program, which is designed to provide community members with a comprehensive overview of Plano ISD. So it's a year-long program that anyone within our Plano ISD district can apply and then get accepted into, because we have a certain number of community members that can participate each year. So our first class was this year, and we'll continue to do it again next year and the years to come.
Okay, that's awesome.
And then we
ahead.
also have one more program. We also have one more program I wanted to say before I drop off, maybe. But this is an important program. It's our senior citizens, age 65 and up, and it's called RSVP. And RSVP stands for Retired Seniors Valued in Plano, which Plano ISD has started. And what it is that anyone who's 65 and older get to be a part of this RSVP program. And then when you sign in, we show you what our district does and what programs, that we have. And then you're allowed to, we give our RSVP members discounts on athletic events and performing arts programs so that you can enjoy our programs, see our students, see our performances that our students do, which is great. They do great performances in Plano in our schools. And then it also gives our RSVP members to volunteer and to participate in Plano ISD within our schools.
That's awesome. So really not just an impact on the students and parents, but now on a different demographic. So you really are bringing in a lot of different demographics within the city and giving them a place to volunteer, to matter, to feel heard and seen. And I think that's really special. That's very awesome. I just got about 2 minutes left here. I want to thank you both, Bob. Obviously, I'll be seeing you around, and hopefully, Angela, I'd love to grab coffee with you or check out the Ranch 99. That sounds. Anytime the word buffet is in there, I'm usually sold. So,
I want to invite you both, Nathan and Bob, and everyone else who's watching. I would like to invite you to actually apply for our Leadership and Ambassador program. You enjoy it a great deal. We have meetings that are scheduled, and that you have to attend all the meetings for the year-round leadership program. Okay,
so is it like you're helping students, or like kind of a what's the connection there for the ambassador program?
Okay, the Plano ISD ambassador program is to teach our local leaders or our community members what you can do to help support and partner with Plano ISD.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. And all of this can be found at the Plano Independent School District site, correct? Website?
Yes, on our website.
Awesome, very cool. Well, I like that, and that makes me feel even more like the school system in Plano is in a good place, in a good direction, that you guys are really partnering with all aspects of community life. I appreciate that very much. Bob, something that you said a minute ago, I was meeting with Steve Lester, who was on last week. Obviously, Steve, with Carson's Crusades, obviously a well-established realtor with Fathom Realty here in the area. And he was talking about his father, I believe, is the one that said, hey, you should post this on Facebook. And he said, you send somebody, you ask, when you hear my name, what is the thing that you think of most? Like, what comes to your mind? And he said, well, it's a very scary concept to do. And he said he did it, and he was just amazed at the impact that he had that he knew nothing about. Mm-hmm. And so he encouraged me to do it. So a couple of weeks, or I guess last week sometime, I was like, okay, guys, be honest with me. I was expecting some good, some bad, I don't know. But it was overwhelmingly positive, which feels good. But more importantly, to your point, I didn't realize the positive influence and impact I had on people that I didn't even know were watching. I didn't even know, not super close. Obviously knew who they were, but it was incredible. And it goes to what you're saying, that like your sphere of influence, your sphere of impact is very tight-knit, but also larger than you realize. And you have such opportunity within that to build relationships and to make people feel special and to really do, so much to bring good into the community, into the people that you interact with, sometimes whether you know it or not. But why not, make an intentional effort where you can do that on a monthly or weekly basis. So, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Angela Powell, Bob Wilcox. We're going to sign off, guys. We will see you in the month of April. We'll be back the second week for Plano, this Plano specific show. Until then, you guys have a blessed day. Thank you for tuning in to the Community Difference.
Thank you for having.
Thank you for tuning into The Community Difference. If you enjoyed the show, take something you learned and apply it in your community or your business in order to make the difference for someone else. Remember, the smallest change begins with a single action, but a single action can make all the difference. A special thank you to today's amazing guests. Also, if you'd like to be on the show to share your unique story and how it made the difference in your community, please contact Lendon Wilson at lendonw@thedifferenceradio.com. Until next time, this has been The Community Difference.